Heather Turner is an AC Gold and an AL Bronze. She has been a Toastmaster since 2010. She's our social media chair, which means whenever we have questions on how to do things with the social media, this is the person we ask, and she always has an answer for us. She's a member of two clubs, Cromwell Community and the Enfield Speakweavers, and she is an area director of Area 63 and 64. She's an overachiever. Ladies and gentlemen, Heather Turner.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Are you awake?
Yes.
Do you need margaritas yet?
Yeah.
All right. Now, how many of you have hosted an open house at your clubs? Oh, not too bad. How many of you had a good turnout? Oh, we need some work here, don't we? All right. I'm going to start with a couple of things that the district has to offer. We have some great sheets, a visitor card that we are happy to email to everybody. And I got this from Sharon. Just a note, we'll have to fix this. It says, may we introduce you during our Cub meeting. So we are not Cub Scouts, we are Club Scouts. So we will have to fix that before we email it. 116 ways to recruit your membership. We've got a handy little form, Toastmasters, what's in it for me? How to run an open house. This one is particularly helpful. Something to give attendees for your club that can be customized to new guests. And this is probably by far, and I'll reference it on the screen in a couple of minutes, it's a successful Toastmasters open house step-by-step. Open houses are a challenge because how do you get the word out there to get people in the door to join? That's the question on everybody's lips, or minds, or hearts. Or if you have to go do something else, go do it. Why do I say go do it? And this is completely off topic here. Someone said to me, they saw someone in the back checking their cell phones while someone was talking up here. And I agreed with them. If you're not listening to the presentation of either myself or someone else speaking, please go outside because you're being rude to the other people that are here, okay? Now that's off topic. How does that tie into open houses? I'll give you one way it does. Because when you're advertising, if you're advertising online, you need to make sure however you're advertising comes up on people's mobile phones. How do people do that? Well, when you're advertising your open house on your website, if you're using Free Toast Host 2, Free Toast Host 2 is not mobile friendly. Kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it? If you Google free mobile websites for your website, there's about 7 to 9 free sites that you can actually attach to Free Toast Host 2. If you're going to publicize your club and you're going to better publicize your open house, I would suggest setting up one of those. Now the topic at hand, this is tips for running an open house. Now why? Build membership. Well, that's obvious, isn't it? Everybody knows that's why we're doing it. Networking. Now how many people have joined Toastmasters just to network with other people, not necessarily to, gain better public speaking skills or gain leadership? How many of you guys joined because you wanted to network with other people? A few. In terms of an open house and advertising it so you're going to get people to come, one of the key things that you need to focus on in your advertising is this is a networking opportunity. When you do that, you will actually gain quite a few more people that would not come if you're going to publicize it as leadership and public speaking. If you put it out there to the business community as this was a networking opportunity for people, you're going to get greater attendance. Now this does count towards your CL manual. So keep this in mind. If you have people in the club that are working on getting their CL, rope them in to helping organize this. They get credit. Now, this is the successful open house checklist. This is extremely valuable because it really does give you a run-through of everything that you're supposed to be doing for a successful open house. Have an agenda. That's important, and make sure it's branded. It should have the Toastmasters logo on it. It should have your club information. It should have your contact information for your club of multiple people that someone can call. They've come to your open house. Who do they call? If you only have one contact name on there, people may call that person or email that person, and maybe that person's on vacation. If it takes them a week or two to get back to that person that's interested is probably not going to follow up and call back. I equate people going to Toastmasters for the first time especially, or joining a club, a lot like going to the dentist. If they reach out to you and nobody calls them back, just like canceling your dentist appointment, are they going to follow up? Because people know they need to be working on communication skills, but they really don't want to. Again, it's just like going to a dentist appointment. You really know you hate going to the dentist, but you have to do it or your teeth are going to fall out. Now, explain how Toastmasters works. How many times have you had a guest come and they're like, we don't get this. This is interesting. They'll sit through the whole club meeting and then they'll get, so? If you explain to them, especially before the meeting starts, this is how a club works. This is what's valuable from it. Most people don't understand that when you come to a club meeting, especially if they call you for the first time, we're interested in coming to your club. We're interested in coming to the open house. Is it just public speaking? If you want to suck them into coming, explain to them the value, explain procedures, tell them someone gets up and speaks, and then someone gets up and evaluates them. And the evaluations part is the most important part. It's that feedback. When I pitch Toastmasters to people and I tell them it's not just speaking, people are giving you feedback on how to become a better speaker, and it's individual one-on-one. That's what catches people's attention and sucks them in. Keep the meeting simple, explain the roles. If you have filler things like Joke Master, if you have anything else that's maybe a very small part of the meeting, for the Toastmasters open house, take that out. Keep it simple, the KISS principle. And not keep it simple, stupid, just keep it simple, simple. Because to overwhelm a new person, it's a little bit much for them to take. So allow time for discussion, especially after the meeting, because people may not know things. And I'll go back to keep it simple, simple just for a minute. When you're explaining things to potential guests, try to have printouts of what all the roles are, what they do. Have a printout of what the most common acronyms are, and try to explain those and go over these during the open house. Don't spend a lot of time at it, but we're so used to throwing out acronyms. CC, DTM, CL, we're working on our CC manual. If I came to a Toastmasters club for the first time and be like, what the heck are they talking about? I have no idea. Help explain it to them. And then ask for help. The district is here to help. The division and the area governors are here to help. If you have trouble getting information together, ask us for help. Ask us for help organizing it, for running it. Reach out though. It's not just the club level. We have so much information behind us, not just the district. If you're looking for ideas for open houses, go on the internet and Google, literally, great ideas for running a Toastmasters open house. When I looked yesterday, there was something like 11,000 results just on Google. Look in Google Images, Toastmasters open house. There's some really great flyers and templates and ads in there that you can glean some great information and some great ideas for what you can do for advertising it. Use the information that other people have already put together. We don't have to create the wheel here. Look and see what's out there and look and see what's worked. Now promote before and after, website. And again, think about the mobile aspect of this. More than 50% of users are looking for things on their mobile phones in terms of information, so they're not using a desktop. Advertise in your local papers. Someone asked me the other day, should we even advertise in a local paper? Yes, absolutely, because it's not my 80-year-old grandma reading the paper. Young people do read the paper too, believe it or not. So don't give up on that print medium. Send out invitations, agenda, and take pictures during the event. Why? Because you can post them online. And if you have an open house again, you can use those pictures for the next open house. Hey, look at this great successful open house we ran last April. Guess what? We're gonna run it again next month. Come on by, we got free food, we got contests. Come and see us. Send out flyers. And just like the old-fashioned advertising in your local papers, the pin boards are not yet dead. I know in Enfield, where I live, for example, the post office has a place where you can post community announcements. So do the libraries. Don't give up on some of the old stuff because it does still work. Find some interesting ads. Toastmasters Open House, again, has some great ads if you search for images. Go out and find something that draws your attention, because if it's drawing your attention, it's going to draw other people's attention. If you're looking for a stock photo like this up here, there's a great website out there called dreamstime.com. You can buy good stock photos for $1. It's dreams with an S, time.com. Make sure any pictures that you're using both online and in print are legal. So don't just go to Google Images and take a photo off of here. Make sure that either you've taken it or you've bought it or you've created it from scratch. The last thing we want Toastmasters to run into is copyright issues. But there are some great ones out here. We ran an ad a couple of years ago for Cromwell for our open house, and I found this great stock photo with a guy that was trapped in a dryer going like this. And I had so many people that attended our open house say, that's what caught our attention. So there's some great images out there, people with bags over their heads saying, I'm afraid of public speaking. Think about imagery because people are not going to read. The image is what's going to catch their attention. Now promote during the event. How many of you guys have guest packets? How many of you don't have guest packets? Okay, how many of you have absolutely no opinion about guest packets at all because you did not raise your hands? I know some of you did. It wasn't even. If you do not have a guest packet, I would recommend for nothing else, at least doing it for the open house. Make sure you brand it. Get your members together. Everybody has Toastmasters magazines that they keep. They read them once. They do not throw them away. They end up in the bookshelf. Ask them to donate them and print up stickers that have your club information. Make sure those people attending come back and give them one of those magazines. Make them take it home with them. Because even if they don't come back to the next meeting or so, they're probably not going to throw away that magazine. They're going to pick it up, and then 2 months later, they're going to see, oh, Toastmasters magazine, Enfield Speech Weavers. That was a really interesting meeting. Maybe I'll go check it out again. Make sure you give them the contact information in there. Guest packets. Now, those folders are expensive from Toastmasters, but they're very perky. If you can brand those, put your stickers as well with your club information. We actually had someone in Cromwell that we gave those folders out to guests for an open house. Some guy chucked out all of the information in the folder, but kept the folder in his drawer for 2 years because he liked it. It was a nice folder. And when he had time, and when his boss said, hey, you know what, you really need Toastmasters, he had that packet and he took it out because just the folder was left, and he still had our contact information because of it. So sometimes that $1.20 is worth the wait. You know, make sure you have a guest book. Follow up, follow up, follow up. This is not just for open houses, this is for regular club meetings. I don't know how many clubs I've talked to where people come, they're a guest, nobody follows up. Do you think they're going to come back? No. If you wonder why guests come and then somebody's reaching out to them, why do you think they won't come back? And make sure you assign people specifically to an open house to individually greet everybody. Make sure you tell them goodbye. make sure that they leave with literature, the most important thing, and make sure they follow up on contacting these people, because they won't come back otherwise. Now, plan ahead. How much time ahead of time should you plan for an open house? Realistically, to get publicity out there and to make sure it's out there for a while, 6 months. Wow. At least 6 months. You can do a decent 1 in 3, but if you start planning an open house less than 3 months, your attendance is going to be low. Some of the reasons for that: people do plan ahead. If you put ads in newspapers, if you want to get your actual event in the paper, maybe have a journalist read an article on it, they have publication schedules that they have a long deadline ahead of time to be able to fit space in. So just look at, when you have officer turnover every year, this is a time to start thinking right when you have incoming officers. Start planning at least 2 open houses to do and set dates for them right away. And start planning ahead for them and publicizing them. Try to avoid Mondays and Fridays if you can for an open house, and Saturdays. They've done some studies on when an open house does the best. Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. What time? 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock. 5:30 to 6 o'clock are the best times for open houses across the board, not just for Toastmasters, but for any businesses or associations. If you do that, make sure you have food, advertise it, and make sure it's substantial food, because you're asking people to come to a meeting and basically give up their dinner time to come and associate with a fun group of Toastmasters. Make sure you feed them and make sure it's good. People's names. How many of you guys have name tags at your clubs? Okay, the ones that have name tags at your clubs, do you guys consistently wear them all the time? I get one nod and a couple of hands. Ouch. How about table tents? Okay. That's something for a regular club meeting I would suggest doing, because you guys do have guests a lot at regular meetings. Don't you want people to know who you are? If you have guests, don't you want to know who they are? Now, name tags may not work the best because people take them home and they forget to bring them back. Table tents, depending on your setup, work well. Just a plain tented piece of paper. If you have guests a lot, if you can get those Staples laminating sheets, they come individually, print up some branded Toastmasters things, laminate those, fold them over, and then have some dry erase markers for the guests to use, because then you're not wasting paper. But make sure you have that stuff for guests, because people aren't going to remember a group of 15 people, even if you introduce yourselves around. You know, they might get up and they'll just stand up there if you ask them to do table topics and say, thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, whatever your name was. They're not going to remember your names. You need to make sure that you tell them and remind them, and you may not remember their names either. I mean, how embarrassing would it be for a Toastmaster or a table topics master to get up and say, hey, Mr. Guest, you there in the blue shirt, I know you introduced yourselves, but I don't remember your name. I'm so sorry. That's kind of embarrassing, and it's not professional. So make sure that you have people's names available. Supply information, gather information. Again, make sure they sign that guest book. The other thing is, that guest book, make sure you look at it before they leave. Why? How many people have completely illegible handwriting besides myself? If you have a guest where you can't read their email address, you can't read their name, their phone number, make sure you jump on them before they leave and write it down so you can read it, because it's no use to you otherwise. Follow up. Point out the benefits. How many of you guys have gone out somewhere and said, oh yeah, I'm a Toastmaster? And people are like, Toastmasters, it's some public speaking thing, right? And you've had to explain to them what Toastmasters is. Has anybody else had that experience besides me? Yeah, most of you. But once you explain the benefits of it, people are like, wow, that sounds really interesting. Give them the benefits of this. And it's not just about communications and leadership within the club. It's also about the fact that most people are in business. They either own a business, they work for a living. Tell them the benefits of how they can take these skills that they're learning in Toastmasters and bring them back to their business and apply it. How? Evaluations. My favorite draw for business owners and management. Why? How many people have met people that are really bad managers? There's a lot of them out there. How many of these bad managers are bad managers just because they don't know how to give good, constructive, motivational feedback? I would say 99% of them. If you explain to them that this is a benefit of Toastmasters, learning to be not just a better speaker, but a better evaluator, these are skills that they can actually bring back and bring into their business situations. So think about that. Think of all the benefits. Most of you guys are in business. How has Toastmasters benefited you? I'll give you an example of this. Recently, I started working with a mergers and acquisitions firm. We're working on video testimonials for the company. It's interesting because as we do the video testimonials, I have a videographer, we ask the person questions, and as that person answers the questions, I'm actually evaluating them. And it actually gave me better skills to be able to say, you know what, I'm not hearing this. Maybe we should redo the question and you should say it this way. And that goes back into acronyms, because some of the people interviewing kept saying M&A firm, M&A firm. What's an M&A firm? Or they would say blah, 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 Jeff. Who's Jeff? Jeff Boyd, one of the advisors at this firm. Those are things that I would never have tipped off to unless I had learned better skills as an evaluator. So think about when you're explaining the benefits of Toastmasters, some of the things that you have yourself learned and applied into your business and your personal life. Does anybody have any questions? Yes.
Can you touch on the difference between features and benefits, or how to explain a feature and turn it into explaining a benefit?
That's a good question. A feature and a benefit. Ooh. I think that would be better put into, anybody familiar with how a mind map works? Okay, a mind map is basically you draw a big circle on a page. In this particular case, you'd put Toastmasters in it. And then you draw lines outside, just like drawing a sun in an oval shape. And then you start putting in whatever comes to mind. Toastmasters, what's a benefit of Toastmasters? So you'd put those benefits in, and you'd have another mind map that would say features of Toastmasters. And I think some of them might overlap, but I think the ones that you have specifically on your features are not going to be the same one as on your benefits. I think that would be the only way to really tell specifically the difference. And then you could explain to someone, these are the features of Toastmasters and these are the benefits of them. Does that help?
Well, I think most of the times when someone, especially if they're new and they're not trained, if they're explaining Toastmasters, they say, oh, Toastmasters is great. We give speeches and you have an odd counter to, so because you are and you say you know a lot, and then it's 7 o'clock, you should come. But that really didn't say what a benefit
Well,
is.
you need your elevator speech.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if in terms of a feature and building that, if you have new members that you want to help pitch your club, exactly, come up with an elevator speech with them to pitch Toastmasters, because then you'd be explaining a bit more about them.
A
But
feature might be that it's self-paced.
Yes.
You have manuals that give you objectives,
Right.
for each individual speech, so that it shows that it has structure. So some of those features would be the actual structure that Toastmaster provides.
yeah, I mean,
I'd like to
oh,
stick
yeah.
in my 2 cents. So feature are the aspects of the organization. Like she said, the benefits are what's in it for me. So which one do you think the audience wants to listen to?
Right.
It's going to make you a better speaker. It's going to make you a better leader. Those are the benefits. Right?
Okay. Well, yeah, and I guess to build that into that, then maybe you could say features. If you have a mentoring program, that could be a feature. You know, it is self-paced. You know, we have people that have joined Toastmasters at the same time I did that have only completed 3 speeches. You know, that's a feature that it is self-paced. You know, there's help there if you want it. That could be a feature as well. Virtual Toastmasters, that's a new thing. That's a feature. You know, so yes, I guess that better explains what I was maybe unable to put into words, so thank you, you guys. Anybody else? Yes?
Should an open house be like 2 hours the max or 3 hours?
3 hours is too long. A little bit over 2 is a good time period. Okay. Yes?
Do you mind putting up the 5 bullets together? The open house?
Back further? This one?
Right there.
Nobody got a comment on Sherlock in my nutshell?
Oh.
Anybody else have any questions?
Can I ask?
Yes.
It goes back to your speech, but why does Toastmasters do it not January to December? Why is that not the year? You
That-
know, I mean.
We'll have to ask Toastmasters
Curious, 'cause
International.
I
I
mean,
don't
most of
know.
us run January to December.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me is, I mean, it's the calendar year, but.
Yeah.
But,
I think it's like a school year thing as
Yeah.
opposed
Okay.
to trying to do all the last minute stuff on New Year's Eve.
I see.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, I mean, it might also be the holidays fall, and people are probably less likely to join around then as well. But that's a good question. I'm going to ask them directly.
just curious.
So-
I like January to December, this whole July thing
Yeah.
throws me off.
Well, that's the business fiscal year is
Yes.
July.
Yes. Okay. Anybody else?
You usually have refreshments, and if you do, what works well?
Refreshments work well. Cold stuff works the best. Cold food as opposed to hot food, then you don't have to manage it. And most people, you know, they start a meeting, they might have a break in the middle. If it's hot food, by that time it's cold food anyway. You know, but have it, again, if you're going to start it around 5:30, 6 o'clock, have it be substantial, not just chips and dips. You know, have some sandwiches, have some cold pasta salad, have some things that people are actually going to eat. You know, if they leave your meeting and they're hungry, I use this just recently in that it's sort of like having the bad cup of coffee. If they leave and they're hungry, it's going to give them a negative feeling as they leave. So make sure they're stuffed. Question?
Yeah, I think as VP of PR, I read you should have every club should have at least 2 open houses a year, probably 3 or 4.
Yes.
And my memory is right, the year that we grew the most, just recently, we had 3 that year. So that helped a lot.
Yeah.
And what I also found out is that even if nobody or only 1 or 2 people show up at your open house, it doesn't mean it was a failure. Especially if it was earlier in the year, people
Right.
see the advertising and they think about it, and
Right.
if they really want to come, they'll come to the next one.
Right.
And I like the idea about doing the evening ones, even though we're a lunch hour club. A lot of people just can't break during lunch, so I like the idea of having it in an office like between 5 and 7. Just stop by whenever you can,
Right.
just to try to get them to learn about Toastmasters.
Right.
So those-
Yes, I mean, some of the other things that work too, you know, especially in advertising, have a raffle. You know, and what do you raffle off? I mean, ask your members, do you guys have any gifts that you got for Christmas that you'd like to re-gift? Want to get rid of them?
What about raffling off a membership?
Well, I don't know if that's legal or not. I don't think it's legal,
Okay.
but it's a good idea. But I mean, there are other things that you could raffle off. You know, have some contests. Make sure people have fun. That's the most important part. Make sure that you, when they leave, you shake their hands and you say, thank you so much for coming, and smile. That's so important. I've been to a lot of clubs where people, you know, they get up and they have guests leave. There's no acknowledgement that people have come to visit. And a lot of clubs really need to concentrate on that. Because if they're just getting up and they leave out the door, they're probably not going to come back because they didn't feel wanted in the first place. You know, have a theme for an open house if you want. You know, have a luau. You know, do something interesting with it. Use some of the creativity and search for some of the ideas for other clubs that have worked. Because, I mean, Toastmasters has been around for a bazillion years right now. Don't recreate the wheel. Leverage off what some of the other things that have been done online worked. Yes?
So at the beginning, you had a free mobile something.com.
Oh, free mobile sites.
Say that again?
Free mobile sites.
Sites.
Yes. One of the ones that I like is called Duda Mobile. It's DUDA Mobile. There's a free one and a paid one. The free one is realistically all you need. It gives contact information, directions, and then some information about your club. Very mobile friendly, very easy to set up. Anybody else? Yes.
Just a comment.
Yes.
I know we're concentrating on acquiring new membership.
Yes.
But I think another issue is how do you retain people? Because we
Okay.
put so much energy into building a base.
Right.
But at the end of the year, you see that, the percentage of people who return. Do you have any facts that reveal why people may come for 6 months or 3 months? What are some of the reasons why they don't stick with it? How do you prevent it being so transient?
Well, I guess to go back to the beginning of your question, when you have people join for the first time, or even if you have members that have stayed, a good thing to do is reach out to them either once every 6 months or once a year and give them a member evaluation, or give them a new member evaluation or a new member welcome. And make sure you keep that up to date, because it asks questions like, why did you join? What's your motivation for joining? What are your goals? And make sure that a couple of people in your club revisit those, because some people join and they only go for their CCs, or they only go until they think they've become a good enough speaker for whatever reason. My boss told me to go to Toastmasters because I'm bad at communicating. So they might do 4 speeches and think, hey, I'm up to snuff. A lot of people join though, and they go through the program, they get some of their advanced stuff, they might do manuals, and then they drop out with, an ALB and an ACB, for example. Why are they dropping out? That's a good question that a lot of people have asked, and it does go down to motivation and keeping them interested. A lot of people, when they've reached that level, have become better speakers. You need to give them the benefits of why they should stay at that point. Well, why they should stay. You can always learn one new thing, and that one new thing can be supremely valuable. The other thing that always seems to get people hit home is stay because we need you, because we have newer members that truly value your expert knowledge. Suck them into the being a mentor. Suck them into, hey, did you know that we have, 14 advanced manuals? I think they're changing the number. We have all these different advanced manuals. You did 4. I know that you actually do a lot of technical presentations. You didn't do that manual yet. Do you know that that would really help you? If you look at why people aren't coming back and then actually talk to them about what their motivations are, don't just have one person talk to them in the conversation. Have 3 people in that conversation, and then talk to all of those people after that fact. Because what I heard is not going to be what he heard. It's always going to be different, and everybody's going to glean different things out of what they got out of that. That's an ongoing issue, attrition in Toastmasters clubs.
Another point too, as far as why the revitalization, is that they found out, surveying the members, that of all the membership in Toastmasters International, only 10% of the entire world gets their CC. So it is a universal problem, and hence why they looked at how can we revitalize the education itself to get people more interested and more involved. So ideally that might help it as well.
That survey, is that a form that's available on the website?
Toastmasters International has it. I have about 4 or 5 different versions. If you want to email me, I can email them to you. Okay. Did you have a question?
The member who talked about mentorship in Beth's presentation hit the most important point, which has been talked about but not specifically a second ago. Mentorship shows the members that we care. If we show our new members and our old members that we care about them, we will have a much better chance of keeping them. All the revitalized education programs in the world aren't going to get around a lack of concern or a lack of interest on the part of the club and its new and intermediate members.
Okay. Thank you.
That's where it has to start. Do we care about the members, and are we focused on the members' progress and the members' interests?
The other thing I could add too is some people drop out because they don't know that we can do our manuals more than once. oh, I did my CC, it's done. Well, guess what, guys? You can do your CC as many times as you want, or your ALB, or all of the other ones. When you give people that challenge, people are like, oh, I didn't know I could do that again. And say, you can do whatever you want. It gives you such a free range of topics. We have a DTM in our Cromwell Club. She's done her CC, I think, like 8 times. I mean, I've done mine 6 times. You know, they're fun to do because you can use all kinds of different applications and tie them into those 10 basic speeches. Yes?
I wanted to tie back into that statement. And we've got a really high retention in my club. We've got an 80-some-odd% retention rate. And it's never, once or twice I think it dropped below 60, but we've got a really good retention rate. And one of the things that we've done in our club is we've made the choice, getting back to your statement before, we're not satisfied with being a club. That's not enough. We need to build a community because people want to keep in touch with the people that are in their community, people that you have been friends with since high school, since college, people in your church group, people who have become a part of your life, are people you want to keep in touch with. And that will keep people coming back long after they think that they've done everything there needs to be done in Toastmasters. Don't be content to sit back and say, I want to be a championship club. No, you don't want to be just a championship club. You want to be a community. You want to be the place to be. You want to be the place where people keep coming back because there's something in them that drives them to keep coming back. So.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
I want to piggyback off of what you're saying because that is so true. Our club is considered family. Mm-hmm. And they like their family. And whenever we have the joint meetings in Farmington, because it's a larger venue, we always end up walking in and everybody hugs each other and it's family. Mm-hmm. And it's so important that people feel this type of community.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yes?
Can you talk more about the mobile phone application?
Yes.
Are we talking about just sending emails to people, or are we talking about different places on the mobile phone?
Well, I'm more talking about when you go to your club website on a mobile phone, if it's Free Toast Host 2, the only thing that comes up is basically your list of pages on the left. And it's not mobile friendly, so in order to get to any information, you have to swipe back and forth or swipe up and down. And people have such a low patience level now, especially with the mobile phone usage, they're just going to click away. They're not going to look. Using one of the mobile-friendly sites makes it look so it's mobile-friendly. All they have to do is scroll up and down. Does that answer your question? Okay. Someone else? Yeah.
So I say a quick thing on marketing the clubs, because like I'm the area director, and some of the clubs are corporately hosted and some are not. The thing is, I'm just thinking, some of the clubs that are not corporately hosted are near corporations, so probably because if the club meets during the day, sometimes people don't have time because of work commitments. The club in the area might meet at night, so it might be a good idea to market the club that's not corporate in the evening to the corporate clubs, like if they people to Hartford or something, or even like local church groups or schools or whatever. So like the faculty, like one of the clubs that in my area is near a school. So I was just thinking that it might be a good idea to market that club to the faculty of that school. They could bring the people that they know, parents and students.
That's a great idea. Okay. And to tie into that, it's part of open house, but in order to get more people into your club, and a lot of VP of PRs don't do this, have a nice letter, have a nice flyer, go out and spend some time and recruit some of the other members of your club to go approach local businesses. When I was the VP of PR in Cromwell, we did this about 4 years ago, and 99.9% of the local businesses within 5 miles didn't even know what Toastmasters was. And again, just like getting people to understand the benefits of Toastmasters, if you tell some of the bigger places that have employees and have managers or are managers themselves the benefits of this, you're going to attract more people to come to the club just because of general getting the word out there. I mean, Toastmasters is communications and leadership's, best kept secret, basically. which is unfortunate, but it's the reality of it.
One
Yes.
thing is I'm going to try to do is maybe put a letter to the editor of what Toastmasters is, because I found out about, by just knowing, a long time ago I saw, before I joined, there was this thing called Toastmasters, and then I just looked into it and found out where it was and went, and the rest is history. And also, how do you get those, you said you had some flyers, is that online? The flyers that are behind you?
The flyers, Sharon has them, and she emailed me copies, and I'm happy to email these out, or Sharon can email them out to anybody that's looking for them. Someone else have any questions? Yes.
So how about if we have the DTN title as something that is recognized all over the world? If every employer sees this is a standard that has been established. It's not just a race to the finish line, you do your 40 speeches, and you establish certain standards that everybody recognizes, and says, all right, so this person is a DTM, let's hire him, he's going to be good for me. That would fire up people and get them to join and get to that level.
Have you talked to Toastmasters International about that?
No, I just thought about it.
That's a very good point. I mean, I would bring that to their attention and say, maybe you guys need to concentrate on branding
I
this.
do the money part of it so that people, see it as a very big incentive to do.
But it's
Not
not
just a
going to
fun
guarantee
thing.
a job.
Yeah.
That won't guarantee a job at DTM.
Yeah.
No, but that would help. That,
Yeah.
all right, there is somebody who's a DTM, maybe he can bring some skills to the table.
Yeah. You had a question, sir?
Yes, just another comment. Beth mentioned this morning. The other thing is, when you have an open house, this is your moment to shine. You should look your best, be very courteous. When I was the president, I made them wear the lapel things, look prestigious, and people who probably will listen to you what you're selling. If you're well dressed and very courteous.
And that's a very good point, but I mean, that should go without saying, honestly, guys. I mean, anybody, if you go into a business situation and in Toastmasters, I mean, how many of you have had people show up in shorts and a t-shirt? Do they get taken as seriously as someone that shows up in a suit and tie? I mean, think of your own, what you see. So, I mean, while that should be self-evident, some people, thank you, that's a very good point. People don't realize that. Might want to remind them, hey guys, wear ties, look professional, or look more professional than usual if you can. Anybody else? Yes.
One variation on an open house that we've done and are probably overdue to try again was to target our lapsed and former members by having an alumni night. And we've gotten a few people to come back and they see their friends they haven't seen in a while, and someone who may have had a life situation that kept them away from Toastmasters, that could have changed. And suddenly they do have the time. So it's another way where you have the same principle as an open house. You're just targeting it a little bit more discreetly.
Okay. Thank you. That's a great idea, Dave. Anybody else? Okay. All right. Thank you very much, you guys.